just so sick.
Just days after 9/11, Congress authorized the use of force against Al-Qaeda and those who harbored them, an authorization that continues to this day. The vote in the House was 420 to 1.
Us is a very thought-provoking, anti-war film. Again, it's here to make us think, but also to entertain. Joining us right now is the filmmaker himself, Mazi Khalighi. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for putting me on.
So tell us what this anti-war film is about. What is the intention?
The intention of us is basically to invoke empathy in the viewer. So I made it for everyone, I guess, but more specifically for the average kind of person living in North America, who doesn't have to deal with bombs flying overhead and war zones and stuff like that. You know, those kinds of things are so foreign to us, right?
Absolutely.
So I was born in Iran, and when I was very young, I have some of my earliest memories are of bombs going off during the Iran-Iraq War. We were living in Tehran at the time, and we were by no means near the front line. But I do have like visions of like windows breaking and lights in the sky and stuff like that, right? So those kinds of things, when I hear about them on the news, right, they naturally affect me kind of more, I guess, than the average sort of North American, right? So when I wrote the script, I wanted to sort of see if there's a way that I can express that to the average person that, you know, living in Mississauga or Oakville or any sort of suburb.
When we take a look at the film, it's obviously available online right now. Is that what you witnessed?
No. Like, I was 4 years old when I came to Canada.
Okay.
So the memories that I have are quite vague. And we arrived in July of 1988. And the Iran-Iraq War, if you read up on it, it was actually a really bloody, long, drawn-out, terrible war. That ended, I think, in the fall of '88. So it was nearing the completion of the war when we escaped. We didn't know, obviously, when. But at that time, it's been going on for years. No, but we were in Tehran. We were far from the front line. So what happens in the film is nowhere near anything that happened to me. It's just an exaggeration. It's just my idea of what it might look like if I was in Afghanistan today, and you know, I had to deal with sort of NATO forces or U.S. forces.
Do you think that we here in Mississauga, North America, whatever, are desensitized?
Yeah, definitely I do. I'm desensitized as well. I think we're all, I don't want to generalize all, but most of us are apathetic in a way. We hear about this stuff on the news all the time. And mainstream media doesn't really get into like the grisly details of it, at least in North America, right? So some of it isn't our fault because we're not being exposed to these images, right? We see numbers, we see statistics about, you know, last night there was a bombing in Afghanistan and, you know, 500 civilians died. We hear that number, but we don't see anything that can connect to us. So we just change the channel. So this film is sort of my way of like saying, you know, don't change the channel. This is what it looks like. So whether you're like, whether your beliefs are conservative or liberal, or if you think that war is justified or not, you should at least be aware of the consequences of what it looks like, what people have to deal with.
Doesn't
involved
matter.
in it, right?
What would you say to those people who think that the media kind of just, right, that they over-embellish what's happening?
I don't think the media does enough to cover what's really happening on the ground. Media, generally, like mainstream media, obviously has to put on a show, so I'm sure they embellish certain aspects, but I feel like mainstream media should do more to cover the grisly details of what goes on in those front lines. You know, you might not want to view that. Nobody wants to see sort of like children with limbs missing, and you know, no one wants to see stuff like that. But that's the truth of what's happening, right? And I know that obviously, like Canadian forces, American forces, I'm sure they take every effort they can to avoid collateral damage, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't happen, right? And the lowest estimate of civilian casualties in Afghanistan is somewhere around 12,000 over the course of like the last 5 years or so. That is like the lowest estimate that's out there.
Right.
Most estimates are much higher than that, right?
What kind of research, what kind of research was involved, or did you do to prepare for this
I had to
film?
extrapolate a lot as far as the imagery goes. I've never, you know, experienced anything like what happens in the film. So I combined sort of news footage that I've seen from outside of mainstream media sources. You can find footage online, you know. Other news outlets will get into the details, like Al Jazeera. If you go on their website, it'll show a lot more sort of detail than you would find on sort of CNN. right? And so I've sort of scoured the net and pictures. There's imagery out there, you know, enough to kind of give you an idea. So I sort of based my visual look of the film
Yeah, I
around.
saw a bit of it, and it can be a little graphic.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's
That's the
very
point.
emotional, impactful.
To create that connection that you want. And
For sure.
the
It's
empathy.
jarring.
Yeah, you have. Yeah. If you watch, especially if you watch in the theater, we've been to some film festivals, and I've had the opportunity to see it on a big screen, and you can hear a pin drop when the title credit comes up at the end, because
Wow.
like it's meant to shock, right? It's the point. So, but I try not to overdo it, right? I don't want to embellish the visuals at all, you know.
Yeah,
right?
you
I feel like that would be irresponsible. So
Yeah.
I had to walk a fine line during production, also during editing, not to make it seem like I'm pulling the audience towards.
You wanted it to be
you know,
real as
yeah,
opposed to
you know,
this
as
is
real as
a-
possible. So we had to work on that. Something that we worked on from script to production to the editing room the whole time.
Now you want Obama to see this?
That is
That is
my
your
ultimate
intention?
goal. Yeah,
Really?
you know, I made this film for General North America, but I guess you could say I made it for Obama. He plays a major role in the film. I pulled a speech of his that he made, a really big speech he made about sort of Afghanistan and Iraq and sort of his foreign policy and plans. And to know that Obama had watched it, it would be a dream come true. I'm actually an Obama supporter, right? Although the film comes off very critical of him.
Right.
It would be amazing to know that he saw it, you know. And I think it's possible. It's just on YouTube. All it takes is 6 degrees of separation. Someone who knows someone, just send him a link. If he can find 5 minutes in his day, I'm sure he's a busy man.
Well, we're going to check out a clip. It's very impactful, so it's jarring. So please be warned. But here it is. It is Us, and we'll take it away. It speaks for itself.
ولا تسليم سلتها